Sponsors, welcome back. Yes, I am delighted to share this show with a wonderful, successful designer from West Palm Beach. None other than the Stephen T. Smith. Give it up, baby. Give it up now. Arthur Stephen T. Smith. Let's go ahead, honey.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there? Thank you again for
I
allowing me to be
am,
on this show.
honey, I am blazing. I'm just excited for you to be here with us all the way from West Palm Beach.
Yes, I'm excited too. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. So I got an opportunity to read your book. Haven't quite
Uh-oh.
finished everything, but it was very exciting. And I am delighted for you to share with us. One of the chapters that really stood out to me was, won't say chapters, but throughout the book, you spoke about the hands of your father.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the hands of my father was basically these hands, and they weren't for praying, they weren't for holding my hands. It was a lot of drama, breaking glass, beat downs, trying to survive. My father was 6 feet 5, very big guy, around 280, 300 pounds. And he was very abusive to my mom, and as well as me and my other siblings. There were a total of four of us. And my mom was 5'3 or 4 inches tall. She's no longer here, and he just passed away in April of this year. So we experienced a lot of abuse with my father because my father was an alcoholic. He was a raging alcoholic. And whenever he came off of his drunkenness and his high, we were the ones that had to face the anger and the rage of whatever he was battling from within. Coming home and gave all his money out to the women in the streets, to the other drunks in the streets, and just being foolish, doing foolish things, just falling asleep at red lights, you name it. So when his high was coming down, and mind you, he used to do this every weekend from Friday
Wow.
to Sunday. Yeah. If he wasn't sober, we thought something was wrong. So that's how weird it was in my house. So when he was coming off of his high, it was like walking on glass and eggshells at the same time because we didn't know at what point he was going to strike. You know what I'm saying? So as me and my brother got older, because we were the last two, I'm the fourth of four kids. We were the only ones left in the house. My sisters then were gone. One of my sisters was getting ready to leave. That was a mess. I'll tell you about that later. But when my father started getting angry and wanted to start fighting my mother, we were little. We couldn't do anything but cry because my mother, he would drag her in the room like she was a rag doll and lock the door or put something against the door. We're beating on it, trying to get in. And he would just beat her bloody profusely to the point of the blood curdling screams because you could hear it wasn't light. It was like somebody taking a hammer and hitting wood. And when we were finally able to get in the room and he let her out, my mother would be covered in blood and she'll just go in the bathroom and just pray and cry, take a shower, and go lay next to my daddy and give him whatever he asked for. He would make
So
her
we're going
get
to take a pause, Stephen, right there, because I want everybody to know where we're coming from.
okay.
The book that you have written is, make sure that everybody can see this, The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in a Straight World. Okay, I want everybody to see what, like I said, as you're speaking, where you're coming from.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right. That is my book that I wrote several years ago, and it details my life to the fullest. I leave nothing out. And it
And see,
tells
that
you,
was one of my questions. It connects to your lifestyle for today.
yes, it does. It connects to my lifestyle for today. And, I was told to write this story by God because, y'all nosy out there. I didn't want to write it, but it was something I was instructed to do to help many people that have gone through the lifestyle that I've been through and all the other things that I entailed in home and out in the world. So by all that abuse happening, um, we couldn't stop it until we got older. And my brother was growing up in leaps and bounds, and he was a big guy at age 13 and 14. So now we were able to cover our mother and cover her head, cover her body, cover her legs while he was hitting her. Oh, yes, and he used bats too. If he didn't use his hands, he found whatever he could in the house to hit my mom. So we were taking the brunts and the hits, and he would scream and call us names, telling us to get off of her and fight her, and we would allow it to the point that he eventually stopped doing it.
That's a
Um,
blessing.
but he kept now. He didn't stop all the way, but he had stopped because he knew we were going to intervene and step in and do what we need to do.
So you mentioned in your book, chapter 3, anytime I would do wrong, it was like God was telling Mama my business. I wondered why he did not tell her when I was being abused.
Yes, that's a question I've had, and I used to be very very upset with God about that. It's like, you tell everything else, why didn't you tell her that somebody was raping me for years? And I never got an answer for that until it was time for me to write this book. And I learned that the creator allows certain things, whether they're good or bad, that he allows it. And I never knew that. He never even gave me an answer as to why would you allow this to happen to me? Why would you allow this to happen to my mom or my brothers and sisters? And I just never got an answer. I just didn't understand, like, well, what kind of God are you serving that I hear you praying and speaking in tongues and shouting before the Lord, but he wasn't stopping this stuff going on at the house. And he wasn't stopping me being raped. So I was confused. I would go to church because that's what I was told to do. I would go and sit and listen to the preacher and have my little Bible and go to Sunday school because that's what I was told to do. But I was confused when I would go home and this would continue. So it was a lot for me to see that.
And and that that quote in that line also, this is about you, but that quote in line took me all the way back to what I went through.
Oh,
I mean, I really felt something. I was very empathy. I would say I had a lot of empathy when I read your book because I went through this myself.
yeah. Oh,
And the
wow.
thing about, that thing about being abused is the raping, the molesting, the beatings. I went through everything. So I can
Yeah.
relate to what you went through. This book really hit home for me. Because
Yeah.
this God that we serve, why are we being raped or molested? And we're supposed to be your child right
Yeah.
out of the womb.
Yeah.
So I
Right out of the
understand
womb.
exactly what you went through.
Yes. It
But
was hard. It was very hard for me.
but I was told I get beat if I mentioned it. Sound familiar? If I
Yes.
mentioned that I was raped or molested, sounds familiar.
Yes. Sounds very
So
familiar.
your experience with your rage and being mean, rejection. A lot of us have been there and done that.
Yes.
Explain exactly how you felt, what that feeling was for you.
Well, growing up, I do thank God that my mother was so loving. In spite of all that she went through, she showed us love, comfort, attention, affection. She would try to be there for if we did sporting events, music, because I was heavily in music or whatever. She was there. So that drew me closer to my mother and further away from my father. The more I loved her, the
Mm,
more I hated my father growing up because of that. And because of those situations and the lifestyle that I was in, because I wasn't gay until I was raped. And I started being attracted to men because my molester became my father. That was my enablement. Because I loved the attention. It wasn't the act, the sexual act. It was the attention that I was deprived of that my father didn't give me that he gave me. So I had all this anger, rage, and rejection from him. So I clung to men. And when the rapist eventually left, I was lost because he treated me like his child. He didn't treat me like, oh, I'm just screwing you. I'm treating you like my child. I just have a problem that I like to get off on young boys. So here it is now. The more and more, like I love because I played sports, I ran track, and I had a lot of heterosexual friends. But people knew because I had effeminate ways, but they knew I could fight too. I had no choice because my brother's like, "You gonna fight? You
and I
ain't finna
saw
be
that
no."
in your
He said,
books.
"You ain't finna be no punk and not know how to fight." And my brother would swing on me, and one of his arms was muscles were removed when he was born because he could have died, and my mom could have died. But my brother with that arm didn't play. So I'm gonna teach
Is
this
that what
coming from
was that Tiger?
that was
Old Tiger?
Tiger.
They
He
call
would
him
mess
Tiger
with,
for
he
a
would
reason, huh?
bounce on you. Yes, he would. And he would just come at me and just start punching me in the face. He said, "You ain't gonna be soft." So I learned how to protect myself. And because of what went on in the home, and then eventually I went in the streets, I had heterosexual friends. People would tell them things about me. And it really wasn't about me wanting to be with them. I just liked my heterosexual male friends. And then eventually, when, everybody knew in the community, the city, that I was gay, in school that I was gay, everybody, there wasn't a military secret. I was dressed to the nines, and it is what it is. And I had gay friends, and we was always on point. So here it is now that I start getting into situations to the point that I would black out if anybody tried me. And it's happened on more than one occasion, because that's all I knew was, I'm gonna put you on the ground. Somebody finna go to the hospital, and it ain't me. And you gonna get it.
Hashtag Stephen,
Yeah.
the fighter, number one, honey. Uppercut, honey. You better know how to handle it. Now, Stephen, the
Yes.
question, this is a hashtag no judgment show. Bronze
No
don't play
judgment.
that. But I
Yes.
want to know something.
Yes.
I'm sure my friends inquiring, my fans inquiring as well. Do you think by any chance, because you were molested by men, is this the reason why you had desire for men, or this something that was already embedded in you before you became raped or molested?
Well,
The
I wouldn't
phenomenon
say
ways, so to
I
speak.
wouldn't say that it was embedded in me, because I was, everybody to know, I was 7 years old. What does a 7-year old know about wanting to be with a man? And I hear kids today say, I don't want to be a boy, I want to be a girl. I don't want to be a girl. I want to be a boy. So we know that it's a demonic thing. Let's just put it out there. And there's, because of sin, the things we deal with in our minds, that I knew it was later on that it was a demonic thing. Now, I will say this, because I had effeminate ways, that it's because I emulated my mom, the person that was the stronger vessel to me. I emulated and imitated her, because he gave me nothing to imitate. He gave me nothing besides my business savvy. My father was very talented when it came to his hands. Besides fighting us, that he was really creative. But I just don't believe it was in me. It's just that somebody took advantage. The spirit took advantage through this in law, and he took advantage of the situation and moved in on me. Once the seed was planted, I do mean the seed was planted. It's like I craved it the more. It was the attention. It wasn't even about the sex, because I was like, I don't even have to have sex, but it was a part of what I was doing.
So it's actually sex versus attention that you were battling. Is that correct?
Yes, it
Well, I
was.
tell you what, we're going to have to take a quick commercial break, but when we
Okay.
return, Stephen will give us a little bit more about this. We're going to have this actual thing where we're going to ask Steve. Sounds familiar?
Yes.
So y'all keep shining, keep chiming. We'll be right back now. You heard? Welcome back, Diamonds. Now, there was a love you had for Roscoe and Lee, what you considered Roscoe syndrome.
Yes. That's what I named it.
What were the differences, I would say, the shares when it came to these two individuals? What they
well,
have in common?
what did they have in common? They gave me the same type of love from each other. They gave me the same type of love. They didn't know each other, because after Roscoe left, then it's like other people came in the picture. Then it was Lee, but Lee wanted something long, long. He wanted longevity. But that's what they had in common. And if you saw him, you would be like, "There's no way." You got to be lying on that man, Steve. There's no way. But he was. And he just happened to be one of my brother's friends. At that time, my brother was out there selling drugs. They was doing all kind of crazy stuff. And he came over one day, and we just started talking. It wasn't even in my mind that he was like that. He told me that he wanted to be with someone that wasn't what he was used to being with, which I don't know what that was, but I wasn't in the streets. I wasn't out there. I wasn't hanging with the gay cliques out there in West Palm Beach, So it was very low key. He saw that I was about my business because of my hustle and everything. So the attraction came because I'm sure he was hurt by his father. He was went through it with his father and mother, but he never told me that. He just wanted someone that he could trust, and he could trust me because I would like hold his money, his guns. He would pay all of my bills, everything. So the bond was again two hurting men that came together that wanted to love each other in a way that only we knew how to love each other. So the thing they had in common was he really took care of me, and vice versa.
And it was a difference between the way that he took care of you versus Roscoe, or you were saying because because he was more long term.
He was more long term, and Roscoe didn't do anything for me financially. Remember, I was 7 to 10. So he just gave me that fatherly, he downloaded that fatherly thing in me, and that seed was planted of homosexuality. So when I met with Lee, Lee was a go-getter, a businessman, pretty much a drug dealer. He took care of everything. There were a difference because Roscoe worked for the county, Palm Beach County. Lee worked in the county selling drugs. So
He wasn't going to well, I tell
he
you, what
worked
was
in
the
the,
difference between the two? Oh, they
yeah,
worked on it, but they had a
yeah,
different means of
yes.
bringing in the
That's
income.
right. Yeah, one got a check from the county, the other one took money out of the county. Even some county workers probably went in and got some drugs, but I don't know. But that was the difference. But we had a really weird relationship because you were first my brother's friend, and then you would always come over. But my brother knew eventually because I told him, and it's just that we did things together like a couple. We did a lot of things together. So that was my one of my first relationships with somebody actually was financially helping me and looking out for me and being there for me in that manner as well as the father figure part and stuff like that. But he was on drugs. I didn't know he was on drugs. And that was a turn off for me because with my father getting high and drunk, and a lot of my family members were on crack when crack came out and smoking and snorting and stuff, I was turned off by that. So he never showed that to me because I told him I don't like drugs. You can't have no drugs in my car or none of that stuff because I voiced that. My mother was very vocal. So he knew to keep his drug habit under wraps.
So I also saw where you had various female friends when it came to these women friends in your life, all the way from your sister Cora,
Hmm.
Raquel, was it Brenda,
My sister Brenda. Uh huh.
LaShawn, Tawana, Tarina, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more of them.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But
Yes, it is.
but how did you feel about your choice of being around those women versus the men? How did you feel in that circle,
Well,
so to speak?
well, like most people that are gay, we always have a lot of female friends because we're more comfortable around women. We're free, we're open, we can talk. They love everything about gay people, how we dress, carry ourselves, and they love the comfort of being with another man and it's not sexual.
Thank you. This is
So
true.
I always had a special bond with all these women, and they all were special to me in different ways. So all my girlfriends from like high school, my sisters, we all had a special bond. And that's just how it is with gay people and straight women for some reason. It's always been like that. As they call
Well,
them fag hags.
I don't know if I'm a fag hag, but I can relate to that because a lot of
Yeah.
women I can't even trust.
Yes.
And I do
Yes.
have a lot of gay friends as
Hmm.
men because I
Yes.
feel more comfortable.
Yes.
They don't
Yeah.
judge.
Yes.
So,
No.
I'm delighted to
Yeah.
even have you here because like I said, I don't know, but it's just something about it. You feel a little bit more comfortable with men
You
that
do.
are gay. I don't like that
Yes.
title,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but I feel more comfortable around someone that's
You
gay.
share stuff that you know they're gonna keep. There's some messy ones out there, but when you find that one or that two that you can trust and tell whatever and confide in, because we did everything together. We hung out, vacations, cooked. I watched their children, all that, because they knew that I was not that type of a gay person. And we done fought together, done club together, done went to jail together. Not all of us, just
Oh
some
Lord
of us.
Jesus.
So we've done a lot of things. So they had the we had that bond, and all of that's in my book, so everybody can see what's going on as far as like, well, what really happened, and a lot of that is in my book.
Again, the lifestyle of a gay hustler in a straight world.
Yes.
So may I take and I say would agree the desire to have a father, the need for that love, cause men to desire men. Because even I remember some years back, Tyler Perry and Oprah. Actually, Oprah allowed, if you can remember this segment, Oprah allowed Tyler Perry to come on her show, excuse me, and
Mm-hmm.
you saw the many of men that actually were molested or raped that came out.
Yes.
That show was more exciting than what you thought because you thinking everybody is scared to come out. There was
Yes.
so many men that came out
I remember that
telling
show.
about their story. And a lot of times because you've been raped or molested is why
Yes.
you do, I would say, desire a man versus a woman. But your thing is you desire a man because you didn't have that love from your father.
I didn't have that love for my
So
father.
there's a difference.
Yes. Yes, and even when me with me desiring the love from these different men because of my father, and people don't believe this. We everything we do is learned. It's a learned behavior, and again, it's all in the book. Everybody that I picked up those behaviors from both sides of my parents. I felt like I was split down the middle. I felt like I was living in a house with an angel and with a demon. I felt I was living with God and Satan all at the same time. So I was getting it straight up from both sides. So I was loving, caring, nurturing, understanding, would pray with you, so on and so forth. But then if I get a lover that I really love, that I was a whore, I was cheating, I was lying to them, I was doing everything under the sun because that was my father was doing it. And it was a war, like between the two that I wanted to stop doing the bad stuff, but I can't. And I understand what the scripture says when I want to do good, evil is always present. I understand that. And I wanted to get out of those situations. Most definitely, but it was very hard at times. And I had some really great partners that saw the potential, that saw the goodness in me, that saw that you can, brother, you're smart. You can be a businessman, you can be this. But my mind was stuck on finding a father, hustling, and all the other stuff that I was doing in the lifestyle. But most definitely taking care of my parents and my nieces and nephews through my hustle.
So there's something that you had mentioned that you had told me during our commercial break that you wanted to bring back up, that you wanted to piggyback off of. Share that
Yes,
with my fans.
sure. What I wanted to talk about was why did God allow me and you and whoever else is watching? Why did He allow you to go through what you've been through? What was the purpose behind any of us being raped, molested, abused, getting sick, having diseases? What was the purpose of us going through all the stuff we've been through?
That rejection.
The rejection, the hurt, the pain, the so on and so forth. Why would a loving God allow us to go through so much of what we've been through and not talk to you and tell you why you're going through all this? And then I would say,
Sometimes, use this as an example.
yes, He does, but I needed to know that. I needed to know. And though He was there the whole time in my mess, my foolishness, my wrong, you allowed all these things. And then I wanted to know what was the purpose. And then He spoke to me in 2011. Now I'm 52. He spoke to me in 2011, and that's how this book has come to life. About that's why I wanted you to go through that because I'm going to use your story to help many. I'm going to touch the lives of many people in that lifestyle that's going to come to me through your book, and eventually it's going to be a movie series, silver screen, play all of that. So I finally got the gist of why. I said it was painful, it was ugly. I didn't like any of it as to what I went through. And to tell people basically that though God has allowed you to go through some heinous things, that doesn't mean He doesn't love you. He's a jealous God, and we'll go astray and do our thing in the sinful world, and then be like, God don't love me. If He loved me, then how did I end up with AIDS, or how did I do this, or how did I get sick? How did I go to so on and so forth? But His love is, I'm going to turn your story to my glory, your
Mm.
pain into my gain, your mess into a message. But a lot of people don't step out and go forth and do what He tells them to do. Write the book, do the script, do the play, so on and so forth. Whatever He tells you to put your story out there that bring the glory to Him. Because He told me, I allowed you to go through all of that. And I sat back in my chair and I said, wait a minute, you what? He said, I allowed you to go through all that. I said, the rape, the pain, the molestation, the abuse, all that. He said, yes, it was for my glory. And how can you question somebody that makes you inhale and exhale?
Mm.
Who are you going to question? Now get up and do what I told you to do with that book, which was very hard because now you have to revisit all of that stuff you suppressed. I got to go back to when I was 7 years old, 3 years old, and you want me to tell all of that? That's why my first book was like that thick, like 300,000 pages.
Oh
But
my
then, of course, you
goodness.
told me to condense it, but it freed me. I was able to be released from all the hurt, the anger, the pain, the name calling, the everything that I've been called by my father. Even the guy, even Roscoe's girlfriend at the time, me and her would argue like two women. I'm seven.
Even you spoke about the in your book as far as you and Lee girlfriend. Y'all had a
What
situation too as well.
his girlfriend? Well, I knew her and we were cool, and I felt bad because it's like you keep impregnating this girl, but you're over here. But it was hard for me to let go because it was everything I was looking for. And we're all ignorant and stupid at the same time. But I had some situations with some past partners or people, excuse me, that wanted to be with him. That was the street gaze. I'm gonna put it like that.
Oh my goodness, it's all different types.
It's a pyramid. Wait, you got to read the book. You'll understand the
Look,
pyramid.
look, the book is here, honey. Don't tell me now. I'm reading the book.
Okay, it was a breakdown of. I did a pyramid of the types of gays that were in the gay lifestyle, so you will
Wow.
get to see that. So I wasn't a street gay. I was an educated gay man that took care of his business, and that's what he was attracted to me about. He wanted to be with a man, but he didn't want to be with the ones that wanted him. And a lot of them, I used to call them foot draggers. They used to be, selling their bodies. I didn't judge them because I would hang out with them, but he didn't want those type.
That's who didn't want that type, Lee?
He didn't want that type.
So it was
Those type
something
of
unique
people.
about you.
Yes, and I didn't. I was paying him no mind. I thought he was crazy, to be honest, because the way he would wield a gun and all that. I said, so my brother, I said, he's crazy. You need to stay away from him. But
Well, I tell you what, since we had an opportunity to revisit that, believe it or not, it's about time to take a quick commercial break.
okay,
Remember, we have a very, very important segment coming up soon that I love for you all to participate in. Anytime, any day, ask Bronze. 407 is on the screen, 476-9059. I want your comments or your questions. All you got to do is call and say this question or comment is for Bronze. You want to be heard on the show, then you got to call in. Next thing you're going to do is state your name and where you're from, originally from. You ask Bronze any question you want, honey. My light is always on. We'll be right back now. You heard me?
Well, in the dark, so I lost all my friends, and in the end, all I had was you.
You on that white horse, I'm not Cinderella. You're not my Prince Charming. There is no forever, ever.
We're back, and I would like to say fans now and Stephen very well when it comes to fashion runway coach hosting, not a raging anger person that I know of. So that's why this book really surprised the heck out of Bronze. Okay.
he changed me.
Oh
He
Lord,
changed
okay.
me.
So I'm like, he changed me. To change me, oh
Yeah,
God.
make me more like you.
So you can sing too, huh?
Yes, yes,
So you stated again about that raging and that anger person in the past, but now you've mentioned about being a hustler. Again, we talk about
yes.
this lifestyle of a gay hustler in a straight world.
Uh-huh.
So in your book, you talk about bachelors of is it hustleology?
Hustleology. Yes,
Hustleology. Now I know ology is the study of.
yes.
Okay, so you
And
might
I
give
was,
us a definition of what this hustleology is.
and I was the master. Yes.
Explain this branch of subject to my diamonds.
Okay. Just to put it out there in the book, every chapter the Holy Spirit gave me, because like I told you, I didn't know what to call this book or nothing. So
You
when he
did
brought it
good. You
back,
did real good.
I give glory to him. So when that chapter came up, Bachelors of Hustleology, I was in college. I was in school in Morris College in Sumter, South Carolina, my freshman year. And then in my um, sophomore through senior year, I went to Morris Brown College in Atlanta. So moving to Atlanta, I had to do something. I didn't want to work for anybody. I'm not going to even lie. And I wanted to be able to have the freedom to enjoy college as well as the Atlanta life. And at that time, Atlanta was starting to really grow before this big boom, before the Olympics. During the Olympics in '96, that's when the boom took place. So while I was there, I had to make me some money because I lived off campus in Atlanta. So a job wasn't going to do it for me because I like to hang out. I like to at the party at the time and do all these crazy things. So I picked back up on my hustle again. So when I was picking it up again, I would fly home from time to time on a stunted ticket. Yes, I never paid for the planes. And I would go home. I would hustle, hustle, hustle with my crew. And then I would ship stuff back and sell it to people that I knew in salons because they're gonna buy anything in the salon.
yeah.
They'll buy a casket at the salon if they want to. and I started gaining customers. I was dating this guy that was a hairstylist and started knowing everybody at one of the popular salons in Atlanta, which was called Set It Off Hair Salon.
All right, now come on.
Very popular, and I would make a lot of money there. And then eventually, I just stepped out and took a risk and started hustling in Atlanta. So I had to learn everything about the systems, the return systems. But at that point, I was just boosting. And for people that don't know what boosting means, boosting basically means that I was taking clothes and stuffing them in a bag, which is in the book called 4-line bag, and walking out the store without the sensors going on. So I would go in and literally go by myself. Or I had one of my friends who was with me, may he rest in peace, and he would just look out and I'd make us some money. And it started getting sweet, 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 and sweeter. And one of my college mates found out that I sold clothes. And she was like, "Oh, please, I'm going to get you 1 million customers." And she literally meant what she said. From the administrators to teachers to people in the streets, because she was that girl that if you ain't got nothing, you ain't getting nothing. She was serious. You ain't nothing finna get wet down here unless my pocket is full of some hundreds and my checking account has some money to keep going in. And she was that type of girl.
So y'all was getting some papers.
We was getting some serious papers, some serious coins and cheese. So it just started growing and growing because I would get the best of the best, the latest, and it just started growing between going to the salons and people at school that my name was getting out there. So I started hustling to pay my way through school. And that's what I did. I hustled. I was in every store, every department store. I wasn't scared to go into Macy's or Saks or Bloomingdale's because most people wouldn't. I would go in there and get it because I like high-end things and I loved having the money I was making. Plus, I had I did have not scholarships. I had grants, but I had to take out loans and it just wasn't enough for the lifestyle that I wanted to live. Because I weren't clocking in anywhere, so I had to go and do what I needed to do. But yet and still, I still stayed in school. I did finish in 4 years. I did not let that interrupt me. And then I come to find out that a lot of people in the AUC, which is the Atlanta University Center, which consists of Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Morris Brown, and ITC, which was a Christian theological school, that a lot of people were doing it, not just hustling. There was checks, credit cards. Some of the girls that went to Spelman and Clark were strippers. They were making their money by any means necessary because that Atlanta lifestyle will make you get up on your feet and do what you need to do to live the way everybody else was living.
I know that Atlanta is pretty fast, and then coming from the North Carolina area, Charlotte is a mini Atlanta.
Yeah,
you get both. You get that same type of life in both of those different states.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm moving this a little bit further, where you also speak about in your book the lifestyle of a gay hustler in a straight world.
Yes,
Thugs get down to the Sebastian takeover, your loss of your sister, Swan's death, homo thugs. Okay, so. What is that all about? The different things that you went through, the different losses that you encountered to kind of set you to where you are today.
Well, sorry.
I hate to take you back a little further, but I want to make sure that I touch every aspect of this book that I can get so people know. We're going to give it all to them. We want them to
Yes,
read this book.
I'm gonna feed you. Just have a seat and put the napkin around your neck. Let's eat.
Okay, okay.
Well, in that chapter, see, a lot of people don't know that there are a lot of men that are out here. Well, they do now. They do now. That in that time, it was so taboo to be gay. And not only to be gay, that these men were like heterosexual. I'm gonna just put it like this. I dated more men that were with women or dated women or were married or divorced. A lot of them were down low thugs. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you, when I started dating men, Lee was the first street person that I met. The first. And I come to discover there's a lot of dudes in the streets that really needs love from a man and affection that they've been hurting. A lot of them have been cast away. Father's not there. You know, mama got a whole bunch of children and daddy is nowhere in the picture. And a lot of them really, they kept it under wraps. They stayed hard and they stayed thugged out. They stayed, acting hard. But in all actuality, there was at one point that I would not date a feminine gay man at all. I thought that was disgusting to me. Like you're gay and feminine? Oh no, because I've always dealt with men that appeared or were heterosexual, had children, had a wife, had a girlfriend, or they weren't with them anymore, or there was a front for them to be with them. So when I say thugs get down too, that happened a lot. I would go on. There's a famous street here at the time. It was heavy with drug dealing, heavy with drug dealing. And a lot of the guys that I dealt with would secretly want to date me, want to go out at night, want to have sex, want to go to dinner, want to go on trips and stuff like that. But they didn't want to be in public. It's not that I was like feminine. It was the fact that everybody knew that I was gay. But they didn't want them to know they were gay. But there were some hard dudes that you would be like, you need to cut this out. You lying on that man. You're lying. You couldn't be telling me. So, basically I would tell some of my girlfriends, like, be careful. Or I've warned some people, don't date him. And they thought, well, oh, you were jealous because he liked me. I said, baby, I don't get down like that. I said, trust me, it's not a problem to have him. Don't get it twisted. I'm telling you to don't date him without telling his business. And some of them have tipped out. And they're dead now. They died from AIDS because he was sick. So it's a lot of thugs, a lot of dudes. I mean, I've met people in industries. I've dated football players. I've dated like professional businessmen. I've dated basketball players. All types. But it was something about the street guys that if they knew and you were a man that I can take you around my family, we can go do things together. It was not hard. It was not hard. It was, and I could spot him. And it wasn't about, oh, he don't look gay. We used to call it gaydar. Oh, I'm picking up in my gaydar. He's gay.
Gaydar, okay.
Yeah, the gaydar.
Hashtag gaydar.
They would not believe it. They would not believe it. I'm like, yeah. I wasn't the type to tell women. It would be some of my friends like, he like, man. I don't care how many goals he got in his mouth. He like, man, I don't care how short those pants hanging on him. He likes men. And it be sure enough, yes. And a lot of the thugs, a lot of them dated transsexuals. They dated boys that dressed in drag. It's such a deep underworld that you would be blown away as the type of people that really like to have gay sex.
And the thing about it is, it's very difficult because I watched a movie one time. I wish I could remember the name of this movie, where the young lady came home and she thought, oh, I wish if I could only find the name of this movie. And they the way they portrayed it down this long hallway, because she could hear sex going on in her home. It was going on in her bathroom. And we, you remember that movie?
Yes.
And we thought it was the lady that always came around with a bust hanging out. We thought it was her that was with her husband. And she went inside of that bathroom, and it ended up being what his name? The guy Noel Robinson's dad.
Noel Robinson, yes.
That's exactly who. And the thing about it's got to be difficult as a woman. I'm just saying, to catch yourself in a marriage, and then you find out that your husband is gay, because You can't compete.
You
So it's
can't.
got to be harder dealing with a man versus, how can I say this? A man cheating with a woman versus a man cheating with a man. There's no competition. I don't have what he have to satisfy you.
Yeah.
So the
Yes.
pain that she had on
Yes.
her face, how it looked then, was very, very difficult.
Yes.
But we're getting very close to the end. But I just got another question for you on this one.
Sure.
You spoke of various friends that were on cocaine throughout your life.
Yes.
Lee, Carlton. Did this habit ever cross? You probably answered this. This habit ever cross your mind while you was in the streets living the fast life?
Never. The drugs. Let me tell you when I got turned off from even wanting to be around drugs. And I told you earlier, it was my family on my daddy's side. I watched them do crack, cocaine, smoke weed, drink all types of drinks, and that was a turnoff for me. But it really started at home when my daddy would get drunk, and I said to myself, I don't ever want to be like that. But when they started, that's why I would break up with them. Oh no, I can't do that.
Because you don't want to revisit what you visited
Exactly.
as a child.
And then I don't want to be around that. They were good people. Carlton, that's not his real name, but they were good people. Lee was a good person. It's just that I couldn't deal with you doped up, high, coked up, because I don't know what you're gonna go through. And then when you come down off the high, and we have a talk about it. You're upset now because that's your vice, and I can't get it. I can't compete with that vice. That they wanted to stay with me, and I'll do better, and I need excuse me help and whatnot. But I was like, I can't do this. Get your own help.
Well, I tell you what, it's interesting how your life is now compared to how it was then. And tell me in one sentence, just one sentence, what would you do differently if you could live that first part of your life all over again? The stealing, the drugs, watching your mother get beat. Just in one sentence before we wrap this thing up.
Differently? Jeez, that's kind of hard.
In one sentence, I can imagine.
Well, I can
anything
see
differently.
Anything I would have never been with men. I would have never been stealing. And I would have never pretty much I would have never been with men. I would have never been stealing. And I would have been able to be more focused on what it is that I wanted to do with my life. Because I knew I could dress. People love the way I dress. So I knew that's a thing. But I didn't have any guidance. So I would have never been with men. I would have never been hustling, and I would have been more focused on my mom and my family.
Well, we have to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're wrapping this thing up, honey. That's what I would consider definitely a hot topic. We'll be right back now. Y'all keep shining. Y'all keep chiming here on GKI Radio. Welcome back, fans. Now, I am so grateful to have had my special guest, Stephen, on this show tonight.
Thank you.
I know that's right, honey. Well, this is the section that we call Ask Bronze. Stephen, you're going to be taking care of this for me, okay?
Hi, I'm from Tampa, Florida. And my question is for Bronze Beauty. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on LGBT dating nowadays? Being that it's 2021 going into 2022, what are your thoughts on dating nowadays in the LGBT community? Thank you.
So you want me to answer that?
So yes, that's coming from Tyreek. Okay, and he wanted to know, Tyreek from Tampa, wanted to know what are your thoughts and your feelings about LGBTQ, if I'm saying it correctly, dating
of today?
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, I'm no longer in the lifestyle. Just to let you guys know, I actually walked away in 2010 on God's accord. Of course, He said it was done. But to answer that question, so many risks they take to find love. And with today's dating in the LGBTQ, a lot of them put themselves at risk. I know they do in the heterosexual community too, but from my experience, it's just a lot of risk. Things are dangerous now more than ever. I don't know if they still have germ chasers. Where in my era, they used to have germ chasers that if you had HIV, they would intentionally get it so they can date you. Not saying they're going to stay with each other and live with each other for the rest of their lives. So it's just so risky and it's just so dangerous because a lot of them are battling so many mental issues in that community. And then on top of that, with the COVID and all these other things that's going on, that I would say it's just very risky now. A lot of them have bipolar issues. And again, it's in the heterosexual community. And I would just say, like, listen, be careful, take care of yourself. A lot of them are looking for places to stay, ways out. A lot of them are really dealing with a lot of issues because they're dealing with so many different spirits and battling that's going on today that you really don't know what you're dealing with, even in the gay community. So I would just say it's just very risky nowadays, even in that community.
Now, my I would say my input on that would be, again, to be very careful. And these days, I know that, because I do have family members, not to mention put anyone out there, but she will tell you she's got 5 children by a man, but her desire to be with a woman has been strong now for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And so again, oh yeah. And so again, it is a risk that you take. And like I said, especially now with the COVID going on, nothing is really safe. It's best to stay with one person.
Yes.
So if this is something that you just feel like you're going to do, that you have to do, again, no judgments on this show.
No.
You need to stay with one person. That's what Bronze has to say.
Yes.
That's what you're going to do. You need to be you and one person. We can't do this multiple thing anymore because now we're getting ready for a third vaccine, a booster.
A booster.
So I would say stick with one person.
Stick with one person.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, you just don't know how bad I hate to say goodbye. Oh my God.
If you want me back, I'm available.
I'm coming to West Palm, honey. I'm coming to West Palm.
Yes, come.
So Stephen, before we go, we're gonna go ahead and do the quote of the day, and then I'm gonna end it out with you. It's so special. They always say, God say, save the best for last.
Okay.
Quote of the day: gay, straight, bipolar, whatever, it doesn't matter. Love is love.
Love is love.
Mm-hmm. So, Stephen, we need for you to introduce your social media handles.
Sure.
And what's mostly important about your book. And again, everybody, we're talking about the lifestyle of a gay hustler. Make sure I got this turned right, honey. Ooh.
Yes.
Turn it right. Okay. There we go. The lifestyle of a gay hustler in a straight world.
Okay. So again, thank you, Sharon. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show.
Yeah,
I'm so honored. I pray in Jesus' name that this impact many lives and let them know that no matter what, God loves you and He wants you for you. In spite of whatever you've gone through, whatever you've been through, whatever you've been, He still wants to use you. So always know that. Again, my book is called, I don't know if it's all the way in there, The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in the Straight World, Volume 1, The Beginning. So it is out. And I'm also waiting for the clearance through the copyright.gov. Lord Jesus, please let it be this month. That I have another book that's coming out, which is called, can you see it?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's the same title, but it's called The Intentional Evolution. So it's The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in the Straight World, Volume 2, The Intentional Evolution. This concludes the story of my life, of my transitions and changes. And God has given me another one called From Homosexuality to Holiness and some other things. You see, you got to understand that this journey we're on, it's not about you. It's about God and Him bringing glory to His name and bringing people back to Him. These books were written out of love for the sake of the homosexual community. And let me be honest before we close out and I give my social media handles. When I was writing this book, I had someone that was going to help me. She's no longer in the picture. God had to disconnect me from her, but she made a valid point. And she said, well, how do you want to promote or pitch this? I said, I would love to send it out and reach the gay community, because I know the gay community is hurting. And I prayed with a lot of them in clubs. God will speak to me and whatnot and tell them things. And I just would desire for them to know God the way that I know him, or even better. And I said, I'm going to focus on the gay community. Well, the Holy Spirit said, no, this book is for the Christian community.
Okay.
Catch that? He said, this is for the Christian community. I said, why? He said, because a lot of them have sons and daughters and family members that are in this lifestyle that's supposed to be serving me, but then they hate them. He said this book is really for the Christian community. So that tells you, because a lot of them feel hateful towards their own. But you can shout and praise and run all over the church and speak in tongues and prophesy, but you won't speak to your child who lives in your home, or maybe you kicked them out and won't speak to them, but you'll go speak to everybody else's child. I've even seen a guy say his father said, I'd rather for you to be a murderer in jail than to be a homosexual. What is that to tell your child? And he had to turn around and come back to his son. He was sick, dying, and had to apologize. He kicked him out at 16. That boy had to struggle to survive. You don't know who God has called, the anointing that's on their lives, because you don't like the fact that they sleep with the same sex, but you didn't get down to the problem of why they sleep with a man or a woman and they're same sex. So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, it's good to be it.
And, so guys would love to have me on your shows, any interviews, speaking engagements. You can call me straight through. You're going to get Jesus, or you're going to get fashion, or you're going to get some advice, you're going to get some wisdom, you're going to get something. So don't call playing, because you're going to get something.
And make sure you tell them how to find you now. They need to know how to find you.
You can call me, 561. I'll put my number out there.
Put it on there.
215-4903. That's
tell them again.
561-215-4903. Or if you need to reach me, you can go on my Facebook page, which is Stephen T. Smith. I'm on Sharon's page. For my fan page, it is the title of my book, The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in a Straight World. IG is also the Stephen T. Smith. There's so many ways. Or my Gmail, thestephentsmith@gmail.com. The Stephen is with a V, and there's a T, thestephentsmith@gmail.com. Thank you, guys.
So it has been a pleasure to have the author, the Stephen T. Smith of The Lifestyle of a Gay Hustler in a Straight World. And he has 2 more other volumes behind that.
Yes.
Stephen, we just want to thank you for joining us tonight. And please, please, please come back and join us here again.
Thank you.
You are family to us. Bronze and GKI Radio just loves you.
Yes, I love you guys too.
And you already know how to locate Bronze on Facebook and Instagram. It's Sharon McKay Angwin. Same thing. And you know that I'm also a Juice Plus partner. So please, I put it out there all the time, how to live a healthy lifestyle, because I'm all about a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
Sharon McKay Angwin.juiceplus.com. Until next Monday night at 8 p.m., it's me, Bronze B, here on GKI Radio. Smooches.